Spring training today is brought to you by Waste Management's Bagster, dumpster in a bag.
Hello everybody and welcome to Spring Training Today on Boston.com. I'm Chris Gasper. Day 2 for pitchers and catchers down here in Fort Myers, but it was a position player that caused a stir. Jacoby Ellsbury strolled into the clubhouse this morning. We'll talk about him with Dan Shaughnessy in a second, but keeping on pitchers and catchers, one pitcher who's an interesting guy coming in this camp, DiceK Matsuzaka. Not a lot of buzz about DiceK, he's kind of like the forgotten guy. However, Terry Francona was asked about him today and said he's coming to camp in tremendous shape, and he thinks something that could help DiceK this year is that it's not an event, it's not a phenomenon every time he starts. Matsuzaka mania is kind of over. He's just another pitcher, and that could lead to better production from DiceK this season.
I think the thing for him, I think, is probably easier is that every time he takes the ball now, it's not quite as big an event, so he can be more of a normal baseball player. I mean, remember that first spring, he was it up in Sarasota, he gave up a hit. You know, it was like, you know, we had to about bring in the United Nations. You know, it's now he can go out and be more of a normal pitcher than, you know, which I think should be easier.
And back here with Dan Shaughnessy of the Boston Globe, DiceK really kind of an afterthought in this camp, right, Dan? I mean, he's the number 5 starter. You know, people are talking about the rotation. No one's talking about him. What are the expectations for this guy? And more so, does anybody really care anymore?
Well, I think you have to care. He's your number 5 starter. And as a number 5 starter, sure, it's a big ticket. It's a lot of money. But as a 5th starter, it's pretty good. This is a guy who was 18-3 in the big leagues not too many years ago. And, you know, everybody knows what the problems are, the pitch counts, the walking guys, and spotting too much, trying too many pitches. But, again, as a 5th starter, you take him. You have to care about him. And, you know, maybe he'll surprise people.
Yeah, I know Terry Francona said he came into camp in very good shape, and he said he threw 45 pitches today. Most of the other guys threw 30, so that seems to be a middle ground being reached on the whole throwing pitches thing, which has been an issue. But, I mean, do you think he's really assimilated into this team after 5 years?
First of all, he would have thrown 145 pitches if they would have let him, of course. And he's probably out there doing laps behind us, and you might see him on the video behind us doing his 19,000 miles today. But, no, he's not assimilated. He has made, there's no appearance of any effort to get along with teammates. He seems to just come and go. Doesn't make him a bad guy, but you never see him engaging with a teammate, not even Okajima, which is kind of weird. But it's just not been part of the mix. We're 5 years into it now. He has not assimilated at all.
Another soft-spoken guy who showed up today was Jacoby Ellsbury. Strolled in about 8:17 a.m., addressed the media for 12 minutes, said he felt very good, that he had been cleared for a while, was doing batting and throwing and feeling good. What are your expectations for Jacoby, Dan, moving forward this season?
I love his talent. I always have. Ever since we got that glimpse of him in 07, he came up and took over the World Series. The guy is electric. You know, he's a guy who can hit 300 in the big leagues, lead off for you, made 2 errors the whole year, playing center field every day. There was never any reason to move out of center field. And he stole 70 bases. I love his talent.
Yeah, I think he can greatly improve their outfield defense. I know there was something John Lester talked about with Crawford out there and Jacoby Ellsbury out there. He was saying there's not too many balls that are going to find green grass in the outfield with those 2 speedsters playing right next to each other. All right, well, for all the latest Red Sox news and notes from here in Fort Myers, keep it locked on Boston.com. We have you covered when it comes to the Red Sox in Spring Training 2011.